Alex had always loved the quiet rhythm of their suburban street. Neat rows of houses, manicured lawns, and the soft hum of sprinklers filled the air. It was the kind of place where everyone knew each other's names. Or at least, they thought they did. Today had been no different. The sun was dipping low, casting golden light over the neighborhood as Alex took their dog, Max, for an afternoon stroll in the backyard. Max was usually obedient, a calm and curious golden retriever with a nose for adventure but a heart that stayed close to home. Alex had never worried about him escaping, especially since the tall wooden fence that bordered their yard seemed solid, or so they thought. That's when it happened. A sudden crash echoed through the quiet yard, followed by frantic barking. Alex's heart jumped. Max had somehow slipped through a gaping hole in the fence, one that had gone unnoticed for weeks, probably caused by a storm. And now, Max was gone. "No, Max, come back," Alex called out, but Max was already sprinting toward the ravine that bordered the neighborhood, a jagged, unforgiving drop that locals whispered about in hushed tones. It was a dangerous place, known for steep cliffs, sharp rocks, and wild animals that lurked in the shadows. Alex's stomach twisted. The ravine wasn't just scary, it was a death trap. Frantically, Alex ran toward the broken fence, heart pounding in their chest. The world seemed to slow, every second stretched, thin by fear. They could hear Max's barking fading, swallowed by the thick trees lining the ravine's edge. Desperation took hold. Alex fumbled for their phone, fingers trembling as they dialed the HOA emergency number printed on the community's bulletin. If anyone could help secure the area and call in professional rescue teams, it was them. But then, silence. The call went unanswered. They tried again, breath hitching with every ring. Finally, the cold voice of Karen came through, sharp, clipped, and ice-cold. "Alex, what is it now?" Alex's pulse quickened. Karen was the HOA board's self-appointed enforcer, a woman known in the neighborhood as Karen for all. The wrong reasons. Rigid, controlling, and obsessed with rules. "My dog ran through the fence and fell into the ravine," Alex blurted out. "We need help. It's an emergency." There was a long pause, like a frozen moment between two worlds. "Did you fill out the incident report form?" Karen asked, voice steady but unyielding. "What? There's no time for paperwork," Alex snapped, panic seeping into their voice. "My dog's life is at risk." "I'm sorry, Alex, but protocol is protocol," Karen said. "No exceptions." Alex stared at the phone in disbelief. How could someone be so heartless? The seconds ticked by, each one a cruel reminder of Max's fading barks somewhere in the ravine. "Please," Alex pleaded. "There's got to be a way to get help right now." "I'll have to discuss it with the board first," Karen replied, already ending the call. Alex sank to their knees, phone still clutched tight. The neighborhood was no longer the safe haven it seemed. The quiet streets suddenly felt like a cage, one ruled by cold bureaucracy and a woman with a suspiciously rigid grip on power. From the shadows across the street, neighbors began to emerge, drawn by the barking and the growing tension. Whispers floated on the evening breeze. Some faces were sympathetic, others wary. No one moved to help. Yet. Alex looked back toward the ravine, heart hammering, and realized the fight for Max's life was just beginning. The lingering echo of Max's distant barks haunted Alex like a nightmare that refused to end. The fading light of dusk cast long shadows across the neighborhood, twisting the once familiar streets into something unrecognizable, a battleground between desperation and control. Alex's phone buzzed again. This time, it was a text from Karen. "Please submit the incident report by tomorrow morning. No emergency assistance until then." The words hit like a punch to the gut. The idea that bureaucracy could be more important than a dog's life was absurd, but it was the reality Alex faced. From across the street, a few neighbors gathered hesitantly, whispering behind cupped hands. Some glanced nervously at Karen's house, where the porch light shone like a beacon of rigid authority. One neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, an elderly woman with kind eyes, approached cautiously. "Alex, maybe you should try to talk to her. Karen's always been strict, but she's reasonable sometimes." Alex shook their head, voice tight with frustration. "I already tried. She's refusing to budge. She says no rescue until paperwork is done." Mrs. Thompson sighed, biting her lip. "That doesn't sound like the Karen I know. Maybe something else is going on." Alex looked toward Karen's house. There was a flicker of movement behind the curtains. Karen watching, calculating. Something about her behavior didn't sit right. It wasn't just about rules. It was personal. Just then, a sharp knock interrupted the growing crowd. It was Sam, the neighborhood's volunteer firefighter and an unofficial hero to many. Sam's eyes were serious, hardened by years of emergency calls and split-second decisions. "Alex, I heard about Max," Sam said, voice low but steady. "We don't have time to wait on HOA protocols. If you want, I can organize a rescue team. But it'll have to be unofficial." Alex's heart leapt. "Yes, please. Anything to get Max back safely." Sam nodded, but glanced warily down the street. "Karen's on high alert. I've seen her call security before to shut down neighborhood disputes. If she finds out, things could get ugly." Alex swallowed hard. Why is she so determined to block help? It doesn't make sense. Sam's expression darkened. "I've got my suspicions. Karen isn't just about the rules. There's history between her and you. Or at least she thinks there is." Alex's mind raced back to old HOA meetings, to whispered arguments, to petty conflicts that seemed trivial at the time, but now felt like pieces of a darker puzzle. Before Alex could ask more, Karen's voice rang out from her porch, sharp and commanding. "Everyone, please disperse. This is a private community. No unauthorized rescue operations will take place." The crowd hesitated, caught between fear and defiance. Mrs. Thompson stepped forward, her voice trembling but firm. "Karen, this isn't about bylaws or paperwork. It's about a life, a dog's life. You can't just stand in the way." Karen's eyes flashed with icy resolve. "Rules exist for a reason. Without order, chaos reigns." Alex clenched their fists, heart pounding louder than ever. Chaos or order? When did compassion become the enemy? The tension thickened as Sam made a quick decision. "Alex, we're going ahead with the rescue. We can't wait any longer." Alex nodded, swallowing the lump in their throat. "Let's do it." As Sam and a small group of neighbors began gathering ropes, flashlights, and first aid kits, Karen retreated behind her door, the sound of it locking echoing like a final warning. Alex's gaze returned to the ravine's dark silhouette against the night sky. Max was still out there, scared, alone, trapped in the shadows. The battle lines were drawn. It was no longer just about a dog. It was about a neighborhood's soul, caught between cold rules and fierce humanity. And in the quiet moments before the rescue began, Alex felt a flicker of hope, but also the chilling certainty that Karen's iron grip would not loosen without a fight. The night air hung heavy with unease as the small crowd around Alex's house began to swell. Whispers fluttered like restless ghosts through the rows of houses. Some neighbors emboldened by Alex's fight, others cautious, fearful of crossing Karen and the HOA's iron fist. Alex stood by the ravine's edge, the faint glow of flashlights flickering through the trees like fireflies. The distant barking of Max was a ragged lifeline, each sound slicing through the silence with raw urgency. Time was running out, but the neighborhood was fracturing. On one side were those who demanded action, the young families, the longtime residents who remembered when the HOA was about community, not control. They rallied behind Alex and Sam, offering tools, voices, and quiet prayers. On the other side, a quieter faction rallied behind Karen, the rule keepers, those who feared chaos more than loss. They muttered about the dangers of breaking HOA protocols, worried that one breach would unravel the fragile order holding the neighborhood together. "Why can't you just follow the rules?" one older neighbor hissed to Alex as he passed, eyes narrowed like a judge passing sentence. "Rules are what keep this place safe." Alex's jaw tightened, but they said nothing. This wasn't the time for arguments, not when Max's life hung in the balance. Meanwhile, Karen watched from her porch, her silhouette framed by the harsh porch light. Her lips pressed into a thin, unyielding line as she observed the gathering, storm below. She wasn't just a woman obsessed with order. She was a strategist, a gatekeeper determined to protect something more than neighborhood rules. The crowd's tension thickened into a powder keg. Sam gathered the small rescue team, whispering instructions. "We're going in light. Flashlights, ropes, radios. Watch your footing. The ravine's unstable." Alex nodded, gripping the flashlight with sweaty hands. They looked down into the dark abyss, where Max's faint bark seemed to echo from a bottomless pit. Suddenly, a sharp voice cut through the night air. "Stop right there!" Karen's HOA security guards had arrived. Two burly men in dark jackets, their presence like storm clouds casting a shadow over the rescue effort. "We have orders to halt all unauthorized activity," one guard barked, stepping forward. "This is HOA property. You're trespassing." A collective breath caught in the crowd. Alex stepped forward, voice firm but pleading. "My dog's trapped down there. This is an emergency. We need to act now." The guards exchanged a look. "We don't make the rules," the second guard said grimly. "You need to stop." Tension exploded. One of the neighbors, a burly man named Luis, stepped between Alex and the guards. "If you don't back off, this whole neighborhood's going to hear about it. And trust me, they won't be on your side." Karen's voice cut sharply through the standoff, cold and commanding. "This ends now. Return to your homes or face the consequences." The crowd hesitated, the silence stretching like a taut wire ready to snap. Alex's heart thundered. They could see Max now, a flicker of movement far below, a desperate, scared figure clinging to a ledge, eyes wide and wild. The rescue team readied ropes, flashlights piercing the darkness as the ravine yawned beneath them. Suddenly, a blood-curdling bark pierced the tension. Max had moved, but now sounded frightened and vulnerable, lost in the shadows. "Please," Alex whispered, voice breaking. "Someone, anyone, help me save him." A neighbor handed Alex a rope. Sam motioned, urgently. "We're going in." As the team began their descent, Karen's eyes flicked to her phone. Her fingers moved quickly. A secret call. A quiet summons. The night thickened, the neighborhood split down the middle, and the battle for Max's life had become a fight for the heart of the community itself. The rescue team moved cautiously, down the ravine's jagged edge, flashlights cutting through the dense darkness like knives slicing shadows. Alex stood at the top, heart hammering so fiercely it echoed in their ears. Each step Sam and the volunteers took was a gamble against the unstable ground, and against time itself. But as the team prepared to descend deeper, a chilling realization gnawed at Alex's mind. Karen's interference wasn't just cold bureaucracy. It felt personal, like a deliberate blockade. Why else would she summon security to stop a desperate rescue? Alex's eyes flicked toward Karen's porch, where the harsh glow from her window seemed less like a beacon and more like a watchtower. Was Karen hiding something? Or worse, was she waiting for something to happen? Meanwhile, Sam whispered into his radio, "Team 2, hold position. We need eyes on the dog's location before proceeding." A tense silence settled over the ravine, broken only by the distant, frightened barking of Max. Suddenly, Alex's phone buzzed, an anonymous message. "Be careful. Karen's not what she seems." Alex's pulse quickened. Who had sent the warning? A concerned neighbor? Someone with inside knowledge? The message deepened the mystery surrounding Karen's cold resolve. As the rescue team began their careful descent again, Alex took a deep breath and made a decision. If the official channels were blocked and Karen's grip on the neighborhood was tighter than anyone realized, help had to come from somewhere else. Quickly, Alex pulled out their phone and dialed a number memorized long ago but rarely used. A local emergency contact Sam had once mentioned, someone outside HOA jurisdiction with access to specialized rescue resources. "Hello? This is Alex from Cedar Grove. I need urgent help. A dog's trapped in the ravine. The HOA is blocking. Rescue efforts, please send assistance." The line went silent for a heartbeat. Then a calm voice replied, "We're dispatching a helicopter rescue team. ETA 10 minutes. Alex's breath hitched. A helicopter? This was beyond anything the neighborhood had seen before. But if it meant Max would live, it was worth the risk. Meanwhile, back at the top of the ravine, Karen's phone buzzed sharply. Her fingers danced nervously over the screen as she exchanged curt messages with someone unseen. The small crowd below barely noticed her quiet panic, their attention riveted on the unfolding rescue. Suddenly, the whirring of rotor blades sliced through the night air. Heads snapped upward. The bright beam of a helicopter's spotlight swept across the treetops, casting eerie shadows and illuminating the ravine's treacherous cliffs. Alex's heart soared. Salvation had arrived. But even as hope flooded the neighborhood, Karen's face twisted into a grimace. The arrival of the chopper threatened to expose secrets she had fought to keep buried. The rescue team on the ground scrambled to coordinate with the helicopter crew. Radios crackled with urgency. "Prepare for hoist," the pilot's voice commanded. Alex stood frozen, eyes locked on the rescue crew gearing up to descend from the hovering chopper. Every second stretched painfully thin. Then, from the darkness, below, Max's bark echoed, louder, closer, a desperate plea for help that sliced through the tension. Alex's breath caught in their throat. The community held its collective breath. This was the moment that would change everything. The night sky was torn by the relentless chopper blades, the deafening roar drowning out all other sounds, except the frantic barking that echoed from the depths of the ravine. Beams of light stabbed into the darkness, revealing jagged rocks and twisted trees clinging desperately to the steep slopes below. Alex's heart pounded so fiercely, it felt as if it might burst through their chest. They had never imagined a rescue here would come with such chaos, or such high stakes. Sam shouted over the wind, signaling the rescue team to move quickly. The ground trembled beneath them, and a sharp crack from the ravine's edge sent a cloud of dust billowing into the air. "Watch your step!" Sam yelled. "The cliff is unstable!" Suddenly, the quiet order of the rescue mission shattered. From above, two black SUVs screeched to a halt at the ravine's rim. Karen's private. HOA security had arrived, more determined and aggressive than before. One of the guards barked orders, waving a flashlight like a baton. "Stop! Cease all rescue operations immediately!" The rescue team froze, caught between their mission and the looming threat. Alex felt a cold fury surge. "You're putting Max's life in danger! Step back!" The guards advanced, their faces hard and unyielding. Then, as if summoned by desperation itself, the helicopter pilot's voice crackled through the radio, tense and urgent. "We're going in for the hoist. Prepare for extraction." A rescuer, harnessed and ready, was lowered slowly into the abyss. The wind whipped around him like a living storm, tossing the rope and spotlight as he descended into the shadowed depths. Below, the team's flashlights darted anxiously, searching for the trapped dog. Suddenly, a sharp bark answered. "Got him!" The rescuer's voice came over the radio. Alex's knees nearly buckled. Relief and dread crashed together. Max was found, but the danger was far from over. As the rescuer began to lift Max toward the surface, the unstable cliff gave a sickening groan. A shower of rocks tumbled down, striking the ravine's edge, with thunderous crashes. "Rock slide!" someone shouted. Alex ducked instinctively, heart leaping to their throat. The ground trembled again, wider fissures cracking open near the rescue team. The helicopter tilted violently, buffeted by sudden winds swirling through the ravine. "Hold tight," the pilot shouted. For a terrifying moment, the rescue hung in the balance, suspended between hope and disaster. Then, with a sudden surge of power, the helicopter pulled upward, lifting the rescuer and Max from the shadowed chasm. Cheers erupted from the crowd. Max's barking turned to relieved whines as he was passed into waiting arms. Alex's hands shook uncontrollably as they cradled their trembling dog, tears blurring the harsh lights and shouting neighbors. But even in that moment of triumph, a cold shadow lingered. Karen's guards watched silently, their expressions unreadable. Karen herself remained in the shadows of her porch, her face unreadable, but her eyes burning with quiet fury. The battle for Max was over, but the war for the neighborhood's soul had only just begun. Max was safe now, wrapped in Alex's arms and trembling with exhaustion. The crowd's cheers slowly faded, replaced by a tense silence. The helicopter's bright spotlight still cut through the night, painting long shadows that seemed to stretch deep into the neighborhood's fractured heart. Alex glanced toward Karen's house. The porch light had gone dark. She was gone, but the feeling of victory was bittersweet. Sam approached, wiping sweat from his brow. "That was close. Too close," Alex nodded, still catching their breath. Why was Karen so determined to stop the rescue? This isn't just about rules. Sam's jaw tightened. "There's more going on here than anyone knows. I've heard rumors. Karen's family lost a dog in a similar accident years ago. Some say she's been obsessed with control ever since, blaming anyone who disrupts the peace she's built." Alex frowned, trying to piece it together. Could Karen's cold grip really be rooted in pain? Or was there something darker? Before Alex could ask more, a new message lit up their phone. This time, an email. The sender was anonymous, but the words were clear and chilling. "Watch your back. Karen has friends in high places. The HOA isn't just about neighborhood. Rules. It's a power game. And you just made a powerful enemy." The hairs on Alex's neck stood on end. They looked around. The neighbors who had rallied earlier were slowly retreating to their homes, glancing nervously over their shoulders. The once friendly street felt like a battlefield where unseen forces had just drawn lines. Suddenly, a sharp knock sounded at Alex's door. Their heart leapt. Who could it be at this hour? Peeking through the peephole, Alex saw an unfamiliar figure cloaked in shadows. "Who's there?" Alex called, voice steady despite the rising fear. The door creaked open a crack, and a low voice whispered, "It's me. Someone who wants to help." Before Alex could respond, the figure slipped inside and vanished into the dim light of the living room. "Who are you?" Alex demanded, but the stranger only shook their head. "There's no time. Karen's reach goes far beyond what you think. You need allies, and you're about to find out why the chopper wasn't just a coincidence." Alex's mind reeled. The battle for Max had been just the opening act. Now the real fight for the neighborhood, and for their own survival, was beginning. The stranger's presence filled the room like a sudden storm, heavy with urgency and secrecy. Alex's heart still raced, both from relief and suspicion. "Who are you?" Alex demanded again, stepping back to keep the door between them. "How do you know Karen? And what do you mean the chopper wasn't a coincidence?" The figure lowered their hood, revealing sharp eyes that flickered with experience. "My name's Jordan. I used to be part of the HOA board before Karen took control. She's not just a stickler for rules, she's using the HOA as a weapon." Alex's mind spun. "A weapon? Against whom?" Jordan's voice dropped. "Anyone who threatens her vision of order and her personal agenda. The chopper. That was sent by someone who wants to keep Karen's power in check. They're watching, waiting for the right moment to strike. Alex shook their head in disbelief. So the rescue was part of a larger game? I just wanted to save my dog. Jordan nodded grimly. This neighborhood is a battlefield, Alex, and you've just stepped into the front lines. Outside, the distant wail of sirens echoed faintly, a reminder that the city never truly slept. Inside, the atmosphere thickened with a mixture of fear and resolve. We need to gather allies, Jordan continued. People who remember what the neighborhood used to be. Before Karen's reign of control and fear, Alex's phone buzzed again. This time, a series of texts from familiar neighbors who'd quietly pledged their support during the earlier chaos. "We're not alone," Alex whispered, hope flickering. Suddenly, a loud crash came from outside. The unmistakable sound of a window shattering. Both Alex and Jordan froze. "Karen's people," Jordan said grimly. "They're coming!" The house plunged into darkness as the power cut out. Heart pounding, Alex fumbled for their phone's flashlight. Footsteps echoed on the porch, heavy and deliberate. Through the cracked door, a shadowy figure stepped inside. A stern woman wearing the unmistakable badge of HOA security. "Alex," she said coldly, "this ends now. You're putting the entire community at risk." "No!" Alex shot back, voice firm despite the fear. "Karen's putting us at risk. We're fighting for what's right." The security guard hesitated, eyes flicking between Alex and Jordan. Then, unexpectedly, she lowered her voice. "Not all of us agree with Karen. Some of us have been waiting for someone to stand up." The tension broke slightly. Jordan motioned quickly. "This is our chance. We need to act fast, before Karen tightens her grip even more." Alex nodded, adrenaline surging. The rescue of Max had ignited something bigger, a rebellion against an oppressive regime hidden behind HOA bylaws. As the night deepened, plans began to form in whispered conversations and secretive phone calls. The neighborhood's future and Alex's own fate hung in the balance. The night felt electric, charged with anticipation and unspoken fear. The fractured neighborhood had quietly gathered in Alex's living room, the unlikely hub of a growing resistance. Faces once divided by doubt now glowed with determination, united by a shared enemy. Karen. Jordan paced, outlining the plan. "We need proof, evidence of Karen's misuse of HOA power, her interference in emergencies, and the intimidation she's been orchestrating. Once we have that, we go public." Alex nodded, glancing at Max, now curled up and asleep. "It's more than just about rules. It's about safety and freedom." Suddenly, the front door burst open. Karen stormed in, her eyes blazing like wildfire. "You think you can undermine me?" she spat, voice dripping with venom. "This neighborhood belongs to me." The room tensed, but no one moved to back down. Alex stepped forward, heart steady, despite the adrenaline. "This community belongs to all of us, Karen. Not just you." Karen's face twisted with rage. "You don't understand what you're dealing with. There are forces bigger than this neighborhood. Forces that I answer to. I've kept the peace here." A hush fell. "What forces?" Jordan asked cautiously. Karen's gaze sharpened. "You'll find out soon enough, before anyone could react." Karen stormed out, slamming the door behind her. The room exhaled collectively, tension lingering like smoke. Days passed as the group worked in secret, gathering documents, recording testimonies, and spreading the word quietly. Then, during a neighborhood meeting called by the HOA, everything came to a head. Karen stood at the podium, her usual facade of control slipping under the weight of mounting accusations. Alex and Jordan presented their evidence, detailed records showing Karen's attempts to delay emergency responses, secret communications with city officials, and threats to dissenting neighbors. The room buzzed with shock and outrage. But just as the community rallied behind the resistance, an unexpected revelation surfaced. Karen's phone rang, and she answered, her face paling as she listened. Turning to the crowd, she confessed, "I was under orders from a private corporation developing a controversial development project on the outskirts of this neighborhood. My job was to keep the area quiet and compliant. I thought I was protecting everyone." The room fell silent, stunned by the betrayal. Alex felt a mixture of sympathy and resolve. We deserve transparency and safety, not control and secrets. The meeting ended with Karen removed from her position, investigations launched, and the neighborhood beginning to heal. But the final twist came later that night. Alex was woken by a soft buzz, a new message on their phone. "The corporation's reach goes deeper. Stay vigilant. The fight for Cedar Grove isn't over." Alex looked out the window toward the quiet streets, knowing this was just the beginning.